Right, welcome back everyone to another edition of the Only Fans Football Podcast previews the Premier League on this week. We are looking at Liverpool's trip to St James's Park against Newcastle on Sunday afternoon, 4:30 kickoff, live on Sky Sports, Premier League I suppose. I don't know why we're giving them advertising as if we need to. Liverpool take on Newcastle, as I said. I suppose Kieran, initial thoughts going into the game?
I'm intrigued. We'll put that way.
Okay.
I think Newcastle have lost their last two games against Liverpool. So I can see this being a tough game for them at home. But I can honestly see them getting a result. Potentially a win.
Yeah, so just a couple of stats. Newcastle go into this game unbeaten in their last 6 at home, while Liverpool are unbeaten in their last 13 games versus Newcastle. 9 wins, 4 draws for them. Lineup wise, I can't see Wataru Endo starting. I would be very surprised he did. One thing I don't want to say for Liverpool is Gakpo starting midfield again, because I think when he starts in there with Szoboszlai and McAllister kind of sitting in the 6, gaps just appear naturally enough. Gakpo's not playing in his preferred position. So I would like to see Endo starting potentially, but a name who was on the bench on Saturday against Bournemouth Liverpool was Stefan Bajcetic. And I think he started against Newcastle away last year when Nunes and Gakpo scored. Liverpool 1-2-0. So I would be fairly happy to see Bajcetic start there. But I suppose we look at Newcastle's team that started against Man City on Saturday. It was Pope in goal, Trippier, Sarr, Botman, and Dan Burn, Tonali, Guimaraes, Joe Linton, and then Almiron, Isak, and Anthony Gordon on the left-hand side for Newcastle. Would there be any changes you'd make there, Kieran, for Newcastle?
I don't think so. I think that the back four is fairly reliable. They don't concede many goals. I think they've only conceded 2 in the last 2. So, and they don't concede goals in general. Like I think you conceded the second less amount of goals ever, or last year in the Premier League, ever.
Wow, very good. They beat Jose Mourinho's great Chelsea side.
I think the midfield wins this game for Newcastle, if anything, because Guimaraes, Tonali and Joe Linton, if they can get hold of the game, and Liverpool again without someone to hold, if Bajcetic is back, that's all well and good, but will he be back is the thing.
Yeah, I find Newcastle's midfield, sorry to cut across you, very interesting, because they're setting a precedent here of not necessarily having someone sitting. Like Tonali, Guimaraes, Joe Linton, they're all players who play in the front foot. Like you're essentially saying if you have 2-8 stacking kind of battle midfield, you're sorted, and you kind of don't need that sitting player, the 6 for a lack of a better term. So I do, for what it's worth, I do agree with you. I do think the midfield wins the game here. I think Tonali, Bruno and Joe Linton are very strong midfield. Quality wise going forward, they can pass ball, they can press. It's going to be very interesting to see how Szoboszlai and McAllister and whoever that third player is. I would, if I had to guess now, I would say it would be Gakpo. I love Cody Gakpo, I do, but not in that midfield position. So if he's to start, Chandra Shelby, if he's to start the midfield for Liverpool, he absolutely wouldn't. Christ on a bike. Don't ever say that again. Gakpo, I think, in midfield with McAllister and Szoboszlai, I just don't think it works out quite so much. Up front for Newcastle, as we said, on Almiron, Alexander Isak and Anthony Gordon potentially up front for them. Alexander Isak's my favourite striker in the Premier League, and I regret every day that Liverpool didn't buy him.
I mean, he's a great player. He's a great player. Could you see him hitting 20 goals?
Oh, 100%, yeah. I think if he stays injury free, if he can kind of keep the nut down, injury free season, get as many appearances under his belt as possible. Like Europe's got to be a big task for Newcastle as well. He has Callum Wilson there with him, which is a big plus for Newcastle, so they can rotate. Darwin Núñez was a player who had a very good appearance at St James's last season for Liverpool. I think it was himself, Salah and Gakpo up front in that game. Could we potentially see handsome Darwin Núñez play on Sunday?
This guy
with the long hair. Check out our TikTok, because we made a TikTok about Darwin Núñez. His hair came out against Chelsea, that's why we're calling him handsome. Could we see Núñez start?
Jesus Christ. What is this podcast? I don't think so. I think Liverpool, I said Newcastle's midfield 3 win the game for them. I think Liverpool's front three win the game for them. I think Jota, Salah, Diaz.
Diaz is
One of the best front threes in the league, you'd say, if not the best. So that's what's going to win the game for Liverpool. So I wouldn't start Nunez personally. I think Jota's much better player.
Diaz has started well, hasn't he?
Diaz is incredible.
He's very quick. I'd love to see him not get injured this season.
Yeah.
That'd be sound.
He adds a new dimension to Liverpool as well. He has that jink about him that the likes of Salah and Jota wouldn't have. Diaz has that, so I really like Diaz. All right.
Yeah, out for Newcastle on the weekend is going to be Millcraft, Javi Manquillo, former Liverpool player, and then Joe Willock as well. They're all sidelined with Knox. Curtis Jones and Thiago Alcantara are both doubtful for the game. I know Jones is out of the game against Bournemouth on Saturday, and then
we all knew that anyway, Adam.
McAllister.
These players are injured every week.
McAllister, who when I wrote these notes was suspended, but obviously that's been overturned by the FA, so
he's back.
He's back, rightfully so as well. I suppose, Kieran, as we said, looking at the games last season, Liverpool 2 from 2, 2-0 away from home as Newcastle were on their way to the League Cup final, and then it was 2-1 in the game at Anfield as well. We were still working in 3 Arena at the time. I don't know if you remember this.
Yeah.
And Liverpool won 2-1 late on. Fabio Carvalho. Shout out to Dan Lavin if you're watching, Dan. He'll remember we were all on the bar together watching again. Fabio Carvalho with the goal in the 98th minute for Liverpool to win 2-1. Alexander Isak got a goal on his debut in that game. I suppose, Kieran, the tough question none of us really like answering. Prediction for the game, Kieran? This is going to be on TikTok as well. So
I love answering this question. I don't know why you say tough question. My favourite question of the week. But look, I think this is going to be, it's a really tough one to call, isn't it? As I said, Newcastle's midfield wins it for them. Liverpool's front three wins it for them. I can see a 2-2 draw here. I think it's going to be an open game. That's potentially wrong because Newcastle tend to not score many and concede many against bigger teams. But I'm going for a 2-2. Why not? Isak on the score sheet. I'm going to say Harvey Barnes on the score sheet from the bench. I'm going to say Diaz with 2.
Wow, Luis Diaz with 2. I'm going to... You see, I got the game right last week with Spurs, and I feel like this game is going to be like the Liverpool-Newcastle games of the 90s where back and forth, high scoring. You
remember the 90s, yeah?
I don't, I wasn't born, but just these were what the games were like. High scoring, like I think it was like 4-3 at Anfield. There was just mad games between Kevin Keegan's side and Liverpool at the time. But so I'd be along the lines of you. I don't want to say 2-0 because you've said 2-0, so I'll say 3-0.
Yeah, because of course you're contrary to my
opinion. It's naturally enough. So I can see Jota on the score sheet, Trippier maybe on the score sheet, a goal from a corner from Newcastle, who knows. But yeah, I'm going to go Liverpool 3, Newcastle 3. You're going to go 2-0.
2-2. 2 draws.
2 draws.
What a boring pair of people we are.
Nah, 3-0 is a great game of football.
Yeah.
But be sure to check out the rest of the podcast live on Spotify now.
The Americans don't have draws though, do they?
No, they have ties. Your American cousins coming over, they won't understand that. Do check out the rest of the podcast live on Spotify, episode 3, the Kero Mitoma. But yeah, thanks for joining us.
And if it is your birthday...
No, stop this, will you, please?
If it is your birthday, happy birthday. We'll leave it there, so...